Good morning, Niner fan. Actually, good afternoon. What am I talking about morning? I don't even know what time it is. It's been a busy day. But we're going to talk about training camp. Yes, I was there. Been at every single one. That's been open practice. It's been great. Today was a good practice, man. I'm not going to lie to you. The last two practices were kind of meh. And, players been getting hurt. They've been keeping players out, a little injured. But also, just I feel like the last two practices, the energy was kind of low. They got to get through these days, keep the energy. It's hard, for these players. And today was probably my favorite day of training camp. Honestly, like the vibes are great. I was hanging out with my boy John Chapman. Like we had a good time, and the practice was on the short field, like the close field to us, so we got to see a lot more. We see it all, but like it's a little further, so the vantage point is always a little tougher when it's on that far field. But today was great. Practice went fantastic. So we're going to talk about all the news and notes. 49ers made a lot of signings. We're going to talk about all of it. As you know, this weekend, 49ers signed Robbie Chosen. They also signed an offensive tackle, Isaiah Prince. Those were before today. And, this morning, the 49ers signed edge from the USFL, Bradley Ane. He's been around the league a little bit. He played, I believe, on the Cowboys before, too. I don't think he made their final roster, but, they were out there. Deommodore Lenoir was back. But let's talk about the big news of the day. The 49ers waived the following players. Greg Joseph, he was actually released, not just waived. Tanner Mordecai, Trey Avery, Isaiah Nair, and Mason Peline. A lot of people were shook that they got rid of Isaiah Nair, but he hasn't been consistent since he had the big time hype moment. He makes a big play, remember a couple of weeks ago, and it was like, oh my God, Isaiah Nair, but he just hasn't been consistent, especially when the pads were on. And I know some people are like, oh, just spend time and develop him. They could probably cut him now and bring him back to the practice squad. So it's kind of smart. You cut him now, you bring him back to the practice squad a little later. Don't want him to get too flashy out there in preseason, but maybe they'll bring him back, right, during after final cuts and put him on the practice squad. But I will tell you, a lot of people were upset that they got rid of Nair because, yeah, he makes the play. People were hyped up on him. He had the size. He just hasn't been consistent. I'm not going to lie to you. Tanner Mordecai, they got rid of him. They kept Gus Bradley's son, Carter Bradley, who they signed last week. The Nepo baby. You got to go with the Nepo son. And that's what that was about. Trey Avery, he was expendable. Mason Peline, he really hasn't put much he really hasn't done much in this training camp. But again, a guy they could cut, maybe bring back later. A lot of the people they cut, they could bring back later down the line. The 49ers, big news of the day was getting rid of Greg Joseph, the kicker, and that means Jake Moody is your kicker. Now, if he has a bad rest of the camp, if he sucks in preseason, maybe they look at bringing Greg Joseph or somebody back. Now they know what they have out of Greg Joseph. Like, they know what they have. But it was funny because we were talking about it during when it happened, and me and John were like, what's Kyle going to say? What's he going to say? What's the spin on this? And he basically said they had a lot of injuries on the roster, and you can't keep two kickers. They just don't have the luxury of keeping two kickers, and that's what it came down to. And that's what that's what we said. We were like, you're probably going to say it's because of injuries. And the 49ers had a multitude of injuries, and it adds up. So they're just trying to get through training camp with bodies. You need camp bodies. So we'll talk about who they signed, but there were some significant injuries over the last couple of days that, that are sidelining players. So they just have to bring in people, and you can't have two kickers when you need running backs, when you need cornerbacks, when you need wide receivers. They haven't even played a preseason game, and they got all these injuries. So it's unfortunate. Greg Joseph, he gets cut today. Again, maybe they bring him back, but the internet was wild. They were not happy about Greg Joseph leaving because now we're stuck with Jake Moody, and we know what he can do. Is he going to be better? Did the competition help him mentally? I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's gotten better just from training camp, but we'll see what happens in a game situation. Definitely an interesting situation. But again, they got Tanner Mordecai, Trey Avery, Isaiah Naylor, and Mason Peline. They also signed Fabian Moreau, cornerback. They signed Bradley Ane, who we talked about earlier. Bruce Hector, defensive lineman. They brought back Jalen Mahoney. And then, of course, they signed Isaiah Prince, offensive lineman, to one-year deals. Jalen Mahoney, he's been on the team. He just they re-signed him, brought him back to the team. He knows the system. I didn't see Jair Brown out there today. He had a second straight day off. I don't know if he's, banged up or they're just giving him time to rest. He did have knee surgery this offseason. So he's probably one of those guys that they're like, all right, let's just let him rest up and get his knee right and stuff like that. So Jalen Mahoney, he's a good training camp guy. He's a good he's a good practice squad guy. He's a good depth player, actually. It's just he's not gonna really rise above his ceiling. Like he's capped out. Jalen Mahoney's never gonna get better than what he is, but he's a good player. But he's not a starter. He's a depth guy. He's a backup. But you need to have those types of guys. So they brought in Jalen Mahoney. Out of all those guys they signed, Fabian Moreau, Bradley Anae, Bruce Hector, Isaiah Prince, none of those guys are making this 53 roster. But I do like Fabian Moreau. He's had some moments through his career, so I don't hate that move. But again, they just need bodies out there. One good news today was rookie running back Jordan James was out there today. They said they're going to be, evaluating him. He looked good. He looked like his knee was healing up. He had a knee issue last week. They're evaluating him. He looked like he was running pretty well. Obviously, he's going to be a backup running back, but you need as many running backs on this team as you can get. So let's take a look at some of these comments. The reason this is Raj's favorite practice because Moody is the last kicker standing. No, not really. It just was a good vibe. Practice just really, really felt like it was a strong practice. I just felt like this was a good practice. It was a long one. Again, they were going at it, man. And some of the energy over the last couple practices was kind of Today the energy was really high and the competition was intense. So yeah. Hey, Peter Parker says Larry just fell to his knees at Pig in a Pickle over Tanner being cut. We're gonna have to talk about his guys getting cut. Tanner Mordecai, Isaiah Nair, and again Isaiah Nair. I was hyped up a couple weeks ago, but he just hasn't been consistent. I said that to somebody today as we were going into training camp. Some guy was like, "Oh, Raj, so we had a good 30-minute conversation before we got into camp when we were waiting in line and on the shuttle." And he says, "So what about Isaiah Nair?" I said, "Honestly, man, he just hasn't been consistent, especially since the pads came on. He hasn't shown me like literally anything. He hasn't been able to separate. So it's like he has skills of a good receiver, but how consistent is he? Can he get in there and be that guy?" And a lot of teams in college sometimes they have their guys take plays off. Like actually, Chapman was talking to me how in Ole Miss they have their wide receivers. They'll actually literally not run a route because that's how the coach is over there. So there's a lot of teams kind of do that. And that's Jordan Watkins. He had to, he took plays off in college. Like he said, check out that film. It's pretty brutal, but that's just the way they coach. And now in the NFL, you have to run at every play. You have to be hardcore on every play. You have to be blocking when you're not running a route. You have to still run your route because if you're the fourth option and they go through the progressions, the quarterback goes through progressions and you're like, oh crap, I have to get my fourth route. Still need to be able to get open. So it's a little different grind in the NFL compared to college. So interesting tidbits, but that's where I feel like Nair just didn't hit right so far. I mean, he's still young. He still could develop, but also I think they're like, okay, if we cut him now, that's telling teams that maybe he's not consistent enough. And again, they can stash him on that practice squad later down the line. So Joseph was a former kicker for Boyer. I was surprised they got rid of him this quick. But again, what Kyle Shanahan says makes a lot of sense. They got a lot of injuries. It's a tough situation for the 49ers. Let's talk about those injuries because, oh my. Before we get to like what happened in training camp, because it was a really good training camp, let's talk about these injuries, man. So Kevin Givens, he sustained a pec injury. It's not a good pec injury right here, right? His chest muscle, your chesticles, basically. He's got a pec injury. He's going to be out for a while. It might be into the season type stuff. Like pec injuries are no joke. If you strain it or you sprain it, it might lead to a pec tear. This guy might end up being on PUP or something. I have an inkling feeling that Kevin Givens might be gone for a very long time. And I feel like it's like a preseason training camp like injury record. This is crazy. Every day we figure out a new injury, but Kevin Givens pec injury, a defensive tackle, he's gonna be out for a while with the pec injury. There's really no timetable for his return, but it's not good. So hopefully Alfred Collins and CJ West, those guys can step up. I like what I saw out of CJ West again today. I love what I saw out of Alfred Collins. This was probably his best day. He looked like he was getting more acquainted, but again, the thing is, people are saying, oh, he's not a pass rusher, Alfred Collins. He's not a pass rusher. He's a run stuffer. So if he can get, to the point of attack and stuff those lanes and be able to stop the run, that's what you got him for. Because CJ West is the guy that's going to be moving and shaking and getting to the quarterback. So tough news. Kevin Givens, they have a lot of defensive line depth, but again, a lot of young guys, a lot of unproven guys, and this is why you can't lose players like Kevin Givens, because now it's untested waters for some of these guys. But it is unfortunate. The big injury to me, running back Isaac Orendo is expected to miss a few weeks with a shoulder injury. This is according to Kyle Shanahan. Isaac Orendo, great player, but he might be following suit of what Elijah Mitchell did. The guy was great, but Elijah Mitchell would always get hurt. He was injury prone, and it looks like Isaac Orendo is following that lead. Now, I'm not going to say Isaac Orendo is injury prone, but this is a tough break for this guy. He's a guy that never really toted the rock a lot in college, doesn't have a lot of experience, but he's a great running back when he plays. I just hope he's not one of those guys that's going to be fragile. And this is a tough one, man. Isaac Orendo, shoulder injury, few weeks. We don't know if he's going to be able to play through preseason. Probably not. He might be put on the shelf until week 1 comes back. But unfortunate for him. We talked about Greg Joseph being cut. They didn't have the luxury of having 2 kickers on this roster. Kyle Juszczyk is day-to-day with a cut on his Achilles due to being stepped on. It could have been worse. The other day he left. He looked like he was shaken up, but someone stepped on his Achilles and he cut it. So it could have been worse. It's a cut. It's nothing too crazy. I feel like he'll be able to come back, but I hope that doesn't turn into anything worse. It's a cut on your Achilles. It's not a muscle strain. It's not a bruise. There's nothing. He got stepped on and it cut the skin and, whatever happened. But again, definitely could have been a lot worse. I'm just glad that they didn't step on him and he didn't roll his ankle. I'm glad he didn't strain a calf muscle to cut. And so I feel like that's relatively good news for Juice. If you're going to have an injury update, it's nothing crazy. This one right here, definitely another one that might hit us for a while. Hopefully he could be there for week 1. But Sam Okenyanu is expected to miss a couple of weeks due to a groin injury. Groin injuries can linger and become something down the line. So last year we had a multitude of groin injuries last year. I remember even Nick Bosa had a groin issue. So these guys got to stretch, man. Sam O definitely supposed to have a bigger role this year, but he is right now on the shelf with the groin injury. Again, the good news, though, there was some good news. If there is good news on injuries, is Yetur Gross-Matos. He has a knee injury he's been recovering from. He's expected to return during the Raiders week. He was out there on the field today for the first time, actually rehabbing on the side field and doing some drills, running and cutting. He looked really good. Looked like he wasn't injured. That is good news because we don't want any injury news. We want to hear guys getting better. And Yetur Gross-Matos, he looked good out there running on his knee. I feel like he was close. When I saw him on the field, I was like, oh, he looks close. And what Kyle said, he said he should be back for Raiders week, which would be next week. So good. We play the Raiders on the 16th. So we got about August 4th. So we got another week or so to kind of get ready and prep for that. So that's good news. Now, the only thing about Yetur Gross-Matos is this man is completely injury prone. This guy doesn't play on the field. Even when he was with the Panthers, just couldn't see the field. And now with the Niners, he has the talent. He looks pretty good. He can't stay on the field. So this guy, you want to talk about injury prone players. Yetur Gross-Matos to me is definitely injury prone, but he is recovering and he looked really well out there. He actually did. So let's take a look at some of these questions because we got a lot of them today. Eduardo says, what about Mykel Williams? Grant Cohn said he's a good edge setter, better as a DT. Yeah, Mykel Williams is going to be nasty in the run defense game. He can set the edge, man. He's going to be a fantastic a run defender. I don't know if he's going to be a heck of a pass rusher. He's still kind of raw in that aspect, but he has talent, man, and he's going to be able to stop the run. It's going to be very difficult to run on Mykel Williams. That guy is so good at it. He looks very polished out there as an edge setter. So, yeah, I agree with that take from Cohn, and a lot of other people are saying it. Chelsea says, why would they say ankle, not Achilles? Make it sound so much worse. Yeah, I know. It's some people got to get the terminology right. I agree. Let's see. Kyle never wants to admit he's wrong. I suppose that's about Jake Moody. Yeah, I mean, if they cut him, there's going to be a whole media frenzy on it. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I just hope that Jake Moody has learned. And I get it. They put the competition in for them to battle it out and toughen Moody. I think it was, trying to get Moody's mindset better, make his mentality better. But to me, I feel like this is just crapping on Moody. To me, if I'm your kicker or any player on your team and you bring in another guy to compete with me, it means you don't think I'm good enough. And yeah, okay, maybe I'm going to play with a chip on my shoulder and prove it. But I feel like Moody's not the type of guy that needs that. I feel like Moody's the type of guy that's going to fold under those types of situations. And he definitely lacks confidence. I don't know if this was a confidence booster for Moody. I think it's going to be the opposite way, but I hope I'm wrong. I know what the Niners are trying to do. They're trying to build the confidence of Jake Moody and make him like tough in his skin. But hey, they should not have drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. They should never have drafted a punter in the 4th round. Jake Moody and Mitch Wishnowsky were 2 picks that a lot of people scratched their head. I mean, let's talk about Mitch. He's not on the team anymore. This guy couldn't even do kickoffs. He's your punter. That's crazy. Jake Moody can't even do kickoffs, and he's your 3rd round kicker. And he could barely make field goals. So what is he on the team for? But Greg Joseph, again, I get it. He's the veteran. He has to prove himself. And if he didn't do like exponentially better than Jake Moody in the competition, because he made one more kick than Jake. It wasn't like, see, that's the thing. Let's go back. Jake Moody was 21 out of 24. Greg Joseph was 22 out of 24. Now that's 1 kick more than Jake Moody, but it wasn't like he just flat out beat him by like 4 kicks. Now, had Greg Joseph went 24 out of 24 and Jake Moody was 21 out of 24, then there's some issues there. But 1 more kick, and it's not like both of them are like, oh, man, or one of them was like so much better. It was basically the battle of mid. So you keep the guy that was your 3rd round pick that you heavily invested for, because if you don't, you're going to look like an absolute world-class loser. Now, you still might look like a loser if he goes out there and shits the bed again, but you're praying that this helped his confidence. I don't think it will, because I don't think Jake Moody's a confident guy, but I see where Kyle's going. And again, you just don't have the luxury. With all these injuries we talked about, we don't have the luxury to keep 2 kickers on the team. I get it. I understand it. But boy, was I shook. I'm sitting there. I'm trying to get updates. I'm trying there. And all of a sudden, boom, the 49ers have released Greg Joseph. Holy shit. I look at John Chapman. I was like, dude, they just released Greg Joseph. He's like, what? And then we had Rob Loader. Dude, Rob Loader was there with us. Niners Nation. We were sitting there, and I'm like, yo, they just cut Greg Joseph. He's like, what? I say, yeah, I'm about to post this. I mean, I could see, you guys see the comments on all the posts. Holy shit, man. I was like, oh my God, this is about to make 49ers timeline. The Twitter timeline is about to go nuclear. And it did. An Instagram timeline. It was crazy. As soon as I saw that notification, I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And I lost the bet. So my man Throwback says, I already drank enough coffee that it woke up for Jake Moody. You might have. Benny says he folds when he's under pressure. Yeah, that's as of now, that's a true statement. Now, can he change our minds? Let's hope. Let's pray and hope he does. Eduardo says, Grant Cohn also said Michael is not a good pass rusher. I think it's too early to say he's not a good pass rusher, but he's definitely not polished as a pass rusher. That's not his skill set. He's an interior, like he can rush the edge, but he's not as skilled as some of these other guys that were drafted as a pure edge. There's a lot of guys out there that was drafted that's probably better as an edge rusher. I'm not going to say he's a bad pass rusher. I just don't think he's developed enough there. And that's what they're trying to hope that he can develop more. He's going to be situational. That's why they got Bryce Huff. That's why they have, obviously, Bosa. That's why they have some of these other guys. Bosa's going to teach him, but Michael can rush from the inside a lot more than he can on the edge. So I wouldn't say Grant's wrong, but I wouldn't say he's right because he's a very unpolished pass rusher. I think you give him some time, you give him some, tutelage. I think he could develop it to a really good outside pass rusher. But if you're just talking about pure edge, he's not a natural, pure edge. So it's going to take him some time. I wouldn't say he's right or wrong on that, but he's a fantastic player. And I like what I've seen out of Michael Williams. He looked good again today. He just looks so polished out there. Like you see him and you're like, okay, that's a pro football player. And he's a rookie. So he could be moved to the interior, like Armstead says, David Salgado. Yeah, I could totally see that. I could see maybe Michael being the replacement for Armstead. I feel like maybe that's his role down the line. They're going to see how he rushes off the edge because Armstead, same thing. They tried to see how he was as an edge rusher. It just didn't work out. But I think that maybe ultimately Michael Williams becomes a really good edge setter. But again, we'll see if he develops into a good edge rusher. He's still very young. Was he 22 years old? So I still think the book is out on him to be determined on if he's going to be a good pass rusher or not. But as of right now, If you line him up on the edge, he's probably not better than a lot of these other rookies that were drafted purely to rush the quarterback. But he's so good at setting the edge, and he's a great interior pass rush, but not a pure edge guy. So Rashad says 49ers front office, no respect. They suck for Jake Moody just staying. People are mad. Throwback says over 49ers media. Yeah, he told you. Yeah, we made a bet. The winner of the kicker competition, I took Greg Joseph. He took Jake Moody. And the loser has to buy the other one a shirt. So he says, I told him, let me know which one. He says when he gets back from his trip, he'll pay up. He'll tell me. So, man, you should do a show with Grant. I wouldn't mind it, man. Grant's, I got no ill will with any of the content creators, man. We all doing this to keep you guys informed. And, there's a lot of people that hate on other guys. Not me. I've had my fair share of beefs, I guess, if you will. But, I get it. Everybody's trying to get their bread and do their content and try to get paid and do this as a job. And it's all good, man. I got no ill will with anybody. So let's see. What's the issue with Juice's Achilles? Says AJ. He just got a cut on it. It's nothing like serious. So he just cut it. It's good. Man of the people, I try to be. Kalia Davis or Sebastian Valdez will get given spot. Yeah, you're right. Kalia Davis played with the ones today. I was kind of wondering why, and then when Kevin Givens' injury update came out, it made more sense. But honestly, don't sleep on Sebastian Valdez. Seabass has been great. He's getting a lot of kind remarks from teammates and coaches. I think Dominic Pooney talked about him today in the presser. Sebastian Valdez definitely is a riser. Undrafted guy. Larry told me about Seabass. He told me, keep an eye on Sebastian Valdez. And today was probably his best. Of course, I was looking for Sebastian Valdez. Like, keep an eye out on this guy. He looked good. He looked great. He probably was, knowing that I was looking for him. He was looking. He knew I was looking for the guy. So a couple other notes today. Let's talk about what happened at training camp. The guy that stood out to me the most was Ricky Pearsall. He was flat out just a head and shoulders above all the other receivers. Obviously, no Jennings, who has a calf injury. Some people are saying it's a work. I don't know. Demarcus Robinson continues to be consistent. He's probably been the most consistent receiver. But Ricky Pearsall, man, he had 3 out of 4 catches. The one catch was a PBU by Upton. We'll talk about that. But Ricky looked smooth, buttery. He had a 50-yard deep catch from Mac Jones. Mac actually underthrew it. But, Pearsall was still able to catch it because he was wide open, burned everybody. This guy gets open on routes. He played on the one-on-ones today. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. One-on-ones. He made Darrell Luter look so silly. Holy smokes. He was just burning them. And I know someone in the comments was like, oh, well, he's playing against backup cornerback. I don't care who he's playing against. He's making him look like burnt toast. And you need to be. If you're Ricky Pearsall, you're the first-round pick from last year, you need to make these backup cornerbacks look like backup cornerbacks. And he did. Looked fantastic. He was great on team drills. Wrap him in a bubble, though. I'm worried because if he gets hurt, his receiving team is done. But Ricky Pearsall looks so good. You know who else looks good? George Kittle. But I don't need to tell you that. George Kittle and Brock Purdy look absolutely fantastic. Locked in. Absolutely locked in. I need to pause and take a break. I will be right back. We have to hit pause for just a second. Let me find out how to. There's the pause on this. We got to take a pause break. Oh, no. Be right back. All right, we're back. So, yeah, where were we? Ricky Pearsall looked fantastic today. Upton Stout. Let's talk about Upton Stout, man. This man, Upton Stout, looked absolutely amazing. In one-on-one drills today, this guy had some sticky coverage. There was one play in particular that I saw. Russell Gage and him, he was sticking with Russell Gage the whole route. Like, he couldn't separate to save his life, Russell Gage. And Upton Stout, PBU. But the best PBU he had was on Ricky Pearsall. A couple plays before this PBU, Ricky gets open on an what was it, like a comeback route, and I was like, okay. And then literally 2 plays later, Ricky Persall goes out on an out route, and Upton Stout jumps it, and he gets a PBU on him, and everybody's like, oh, the defense was like, let's go, baby. Now, what's interesting about that play was the play where Ricky Persall came down with the ball. After the play, Upton Stout tried to rip the ball out, like he was getting in his face, but they already had ruled the play dead. And then, like I said, a couple plays later, I mean, this guy, Upton Stout, was like, all right, I need to get my lick back, and he got it. And then there was a couple plays where he just was stuffing the run, like right off the snap, man. He was like there within less than 2 seconds, stuffed Patrick Taylor on a play. This guy was playing unbelievable out there. Upton Stout every day has gotten better and better. To me, he's one of the biggest camp risers out there. I feel like Upton Stout, man, he's definitely right now, if the season started, he's your nickel cornerback. You know what I love is how he talked about yesterday. Nick Wagner wrote he tweeted about it. He was writing what some of the positional coaches said, that he spoke with K'Wan Williams. He's trying to like study his film. He wants to be like the next K'Wan Williams because he knows how good he was in this defense. Like he was trying to look at all the players that played that position and trying to study them and, you know, take parts of their game. That's sick, dude. If you're a Niner fan, you know, it's great to hear that he wants to be the next like big time, you know, nickel. And Upton looks great in training camp, man. Absolutely great in training camp. My man Julius says, kind of 49ers related, but Drew Moss's future father-in-law is back. Yeah, if you guys saw SummerSlam, my boy Brock Lesnar came back. And we all know Drew Moss is dating Brock Lesnar's daughter. So, yeah, somewhat. Some people would say that's 49ers news. Let's see, a couple other highlights. There was one play today that was fantastic. It was on the third string. It was Carter Bradley. He was, you know, Gus Bradley's son, the Nepo baby quarterback. It was the Nepo baby connection. You had Carter Bradley. He threw a dot. It was a dot, man. He threw it deep shot, right sideline. Tariq Owens, like 75 yards. Touchdown, Nepo connection to end. That was the final play of practice. It was amazing. Carter drops back. Oh, Tariq Owens on the right sideline. Boom, in double coverage. He gets it through. Darted it up, and it was a touchdown. And I was like, holy crap, that was amazing to see. I mean, obviously, Carter Bradley's not going to be doing much of anything, but it was a pretty fun moment to see Tariq Owens, the son of Terrell Owens, and Carter Bradley, the son of Gus Bradley, who's our defensive assistant. It was the most Nepo baby touchdown of all time. It was actually pretty funny. I was laughing. I was like, that's crazy. And it's kind of wild he got rid of Tanner Mordecai, but Carter Bradley making the most of his time. I feel like Tanner Mordecai, they'll bring him back and put him on the practice squad. So EB says, I really don't like joint practices. It's like asking for injuries before a game. God, man. I hope that there's no injuries, but I'm excited for that joint practice on Thursday. That was a hard ticket to get, and I for sure am not missing that damn thing. There was a couple big plays again from Mac Jones. This guy played well today. He had a nice dime to Demarcus Robinson, but he missed it. Like the pass was on point. Like I feel like Mac Jones has just made so many good passes this offseason in training camp. There was a few, he's made so many, and there's a few that the wide receivers just don't haul in for whatever reason. And I'm like, damn, this guy, his stats would be even better. Obviously, we don't care about training camp stats. Mac Jones has looked impressive as a quarterback too. I'm really happy for him. I think he's going to be a good backup, and you know, he's really showing up. He's really making some plays. His deep passes have been absolutely nice. So he's had some dimes out there. Let's see, a couple plays. Oh, George Kittle. Did I say George Kittle and Brock Purdy have been like locked and loaded? Those two guys, man, George Kittle, this guy has been flat out unstoppable in training camp. Like he's even had Fred Warner like frustrated at times, honestly. But George Kittle is going to be great. I think him and Brock Purdy, their connection just has gotten better. And I could tell, like, you could just see the chemistry. Obviously, they had a lot of chemistry because they've obviously been teammates, but they spent a lot of time in the offseason together, right, in Nashville. And you can just see that their chemistry is even better right now. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's see. I think that's pretty much the big news of the day. But these quarterbacks were lighting it up. It was good to see, the return of Diamo Lenore today. He was back. He missed a few practices with the hip issue, but he was back today. And yeah, Jordan James was back today, the rookie running back. They're going to need him because Isaac Garendo is dealing with the shoulder injury. So overall, a really intense practice. It was fun. Upton Stout, Ricky Persall was the matchup of the day. And I think tomorrow is going to be even better. I think those two are going. They're just, every year there's like a camp battle that you're like, okay, that's fun. Iron sharpens iron. Like even Brandon Ayuk and like Diamo Lenore a couple years back, and just fun to watch. And today, I feel like they've been kind of going back and forth. I remember Upton Stout got a PBU like last week, but today that battle was just intense, and I feel like it's just only going to get more intense. So good stuff. 49ers will be back tomorrow, and that's pretty much it for today. Get the heck out of here. We'll be back. If there's any more news, of course, we'll be back live, but I wanted to hop on and do a little recap because everybody was asking. But we'll be back. Make sure you hit that like button. Tomorrow, another day of training camp, pads. Wednesday, no practice. Thursday, joint practice. Dwight Clark Day. LFG, baby. Let's go. Y'all have a good one. Love ya. Go Niners.